Hello and welcome to Ceros Academy. I'm your host, Drew Hornine. Today we're going to learn to include external content right in your Ceros experience using Lightboxes. We're going to add several pieces of external content to our online snowboarding magazine. We're going to add a product detail page, a social media news feed, an online survey, a movie from Vimeo, and a really cool photo of the month. Now you can open up this content without Lightboxes, but it means opening up the content in a new browser tab or completely taking your users away from the experience. Let me give you an example. On our pipeline news feed, we would actually have to go to that Twitter page as opposed to including that within the experience. Likewise, if we wanted to see our Vimeo movie, we would have to actually go to the Vimeo site. But we want to give our users a seamless experience. We want them to experience all of this content right within the same place, so it doesn't feel like they're being taken all over the web. Now the Ceros Commerce add-on has been available for quite some time. This is really useful if you've got a product page template that allows you to show different products solely based on the product ID or some other variable in the URL. But this only allows you to show one size window within your Ceros experience, and it's only one product template allowed. So you can have 2, 3, or 20 or 30 products within your experience, but they all have to be on that same template. Lightboxes opens up a world of possibilities by allowing you to create multiple size windows and also multiple pieces of content throughout your experience. Now before we get started, it's important to note that this feature is only available if you're subscribed to the optional Commerce upgrade. If you're not subscribed to Commerce, talk to your account representative. They'd be happy to give you more information about that and about the fees associated with it. Let's jump into the studio and get started. Now for those of you familiar with our Commerce panels, don't worry, those haven't gone away. In fact, they're still really convenient if you have multiple products that you want to add to an experience that all reside within the same template and just use a different product ID to pull up the correct information. Let me show you an example of that. I'm going to go ahead and click on Hot Deals, and I'm going to give this an on-click action in our Interactions panel, and I'm going to say Open Product Panel. And then all I have to do is enter in the product ID and click Add. Now some of you are saying, but wait, where's the URL for that? The URL exists actually in the Ceros admin. Let's jump over there and I'll show you. Here we are in our support demos project. I've got a Commerce tab over here that contains a product panel URL, a shopping cart URL, and a panel size. Now these settings apply to all of the experiences in this project folder. My product panel URL is just a standard URL with one special feature. At the end, we have an ID token. All it is 2 curly braces with the initials ID in it. That's how Ceros knows which product to grab within this template. Let's see this in action. Click on there and I see my AirTrack snowboard set. Now it's important to note that this is actually a page that lives outside of Ceros. This is part of your own website. I'll show you the actual page here. It's this product page right here. And we're just pulling that into this modal window here on our Ceros experience. This page also makes use of a small bit of JavaScript that's part of our software developer kit that's added to the page that allows us to add things like this close button here to the panel. Now that's all stuff that's available in another tutorial, so I won't go into too much detail there. It just allows this panel to close whenever we're talking to Ceros. Let's jump back into the studio and I'll show you the difference between this and adding Lightboxes. So here in the Ceros studio, I'm going to click on Powder Keg and we're going to add a poll to this experience. Now to do that, I'm going to use this tool that you can find online. It's a free tool called PollSnack. You can use whatever tool you want. I'm just using this as an example because it's a way to create some content without having to use a developer. Now I've already created a poll, and I'm going to click on the Share Embed button, and I'm going to click Embed. And all I need on this is the URL here for the source, because I'm not going to include the entire iframe. I'm just going to copy that little bit and go back to the studio. Now my trigger is going to be on click, and I want to open a URL in a Lightbox. And then you'll notice I've got a URL and some dimensions here. I'm going to paste that URL right into the URL field, and then I'm going to give it a size. Now, conveniently, the size here is at the end of our URL. So I want it to be 250 by 370. So I'm going to enter those in, 250 by 370. I want it to show a close button. If I don't show a close button, you can still close it on desktop by simply clicking outside of the area, but you won't be able to close it on a mobile device unless you have a page that has the SDK code in it and it has its own close button. So that's going to be completely up to you, but I'm going to choose to show my close button. And I'll click Add. And now if I jump over to my experience and I click on Powder Keg, here I have my poll, and I didn't have to use any developers. I didn't have to learn anything with coding or anything like that. All I had to do was give it the URL and tell it what size I wanted it to be. The other cool thing about it is you'll notice this is a completely different size than this. And so I'm going to go ahead and vote for my favorite board here, which is Burton. And we've got 2 votes for Burton so far in this experience. Okay, let's go ahead and add some more content. We have 3 pieces of content we want to add. We want to add a social media feed for our pipeline. We want to add a video from Vimeo, and we want to add just a picture of the month. Let's do the easiest one first, that picture of the month. I'm going to go ahead, and here's my picture. It already lives someplace online, and all I have to do is grab the URL of that picture, give it an on-click, open URL in Lightbox, paste it there, and then all I have to do is enter the dimensions of my image, 768 by 480. And I'm going to go ahead and add that. And so now you can see that in my magazine, I can open up that picture. Easy as pie. Let's go ahead and do the next one. Let's open up our Vimeo page. Now both Vimeo and YouTube and a lot of other video services operate in a very, very similar way, and they're not that hard to do. All you have to do is click on the share or embed link, and then you can choose which option you want to do. We want to embed this, and so similar to the way we did our poll, we want to go ahead and find that URL there for our Vimeo experience. Now, one of the things that they do that's kind of weird on some of these is they only let you select the entire thing. So we're just going to copy that. We'll paste it in something like text edit so that we can get our URL. On click, open URL in Lightbox, paste that there. And then the size that I want this to be at, I want it to be at 960 by 540. And I've added that URL in there. Now my final piece is I want to add a social media news feed. The last 2 pieces of content have been added without having to create anything in a web page. Some pieces of content need to actually be added to a web page before they can be pulled into your Ceros experience. And Twitter is one of those pieces of content because it requires a little bit of JavaScript to make it happen. So we're going to go ahead and paste that JavaScript into this web page, and then we're going to display this web page in our Ceros experience. And so all I have to do on my pipeline, again, on click, open URL in Lightbox. I'm going to paste that there. And I already know that this experience is 512 by 520, and I'm going to add that. So now I've got all of the pieces of content into my experience. If I open up my pipeline, there's my Twitter feed. For my powder keg, there's my poll. For my video, there it is. Works just like any other Vimeo embed. As a matter of fact, you can even open this full screen. I'm going to exit that right now though. And then here's my picture. So there you have it. In just a few minutes, we've used Lightboxes to include several pieces of external content. This is content that your users would have otherwise had to go someplace else to view. And we've done it all with little or no input from developers. I hope you found today's tutorial useful. If you're ever working in the studio and need a hand with something, go ahead and click the blue Talk to Us button to connect with a Ceros expert. We'll be glad to answer your questions. Hey, thanks for joining us for today's episode. I'm Drew Horine, and I'll see you on the next Ceros Academy.